Coming up on today's edition of Vikings Now, we're going to be looking at some takeaways and quotes from the recent Minnesota Vikings training camp. My name is Patrick Siepman. Welcome in the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. With Vikings training camp almost nearing the end and preseason just around the corner, I thought this was a good time to just go over some overall takeaways and some quotes from our players such as Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson. So let's jump right into this. Starting off with my first takeaway from camp, and it's about number 8. It's about QB1, Kirk Cousins. And I think my number one takeaway with this is Kirk Cousins is just comfortable. He is more comfortable with the second year with Kevin O'Connell, and this is actually the first time that he has had the same play caller in back-to-back seasons since joining the Minnesota Vikings back in 2018. And I think that speaks numbers, because think about it. If you're going from job to job every different year, like, you can't really get familiar and you can't get comfortable with what you do. But if you finally have the same guy, same tutelage in your ear, it just makes the whole life, and it just makes it all easier. And this is what actually Kirk had to say about being in year number 2 with his main man, Kevin O'Connell. He said, "I don't have to grind quite as much pre-practice to make sure I can call all the plays. I can be focused on other things. I can be thinking about the play clock, thinking about the defensive personnel, thinking about our offensive personnel. The situation while O'Connell is calling the play, and kind of multi-process while I'm hearing the play." And I thought that was pretty interesting because, hey, in year 1, Kirk had a hell of a year with Kevin O'Connell. And that's why I'm so excited to see what he could do in his second season. I mean, last year, putting up 29 touchdowns, 14 picks. We always know the completion percentage with Kirk is going to be up there. He's one of the more accurate quarterbacks that we have seen in the NFL over the past 4 seasons, always floating up above 40 or above 65%. And that's why I think Kirk's going to have a career year this year. You know, obviously this Vikings offense, they're bringing back a lot of the same guys. They have the same offensive line unit. He still has TJ Hawkinson, who they got at the trade deadline last year. He's going to have a whole offseason with Kirk and kind of come back in for year 2 in this system. We know Jefferson, he's going to keep on getting better and better every year. But then I think the difference maker is going to be guys like Jordan Addison and KJ Osborne. Yes, Adam Thielen, Vikings legend, I love him. But he did lose a step last season. I think Jordan Addison will be an immediate upgrade at that wide receiver 2 spot. So with the combination of just continuity amongst the offensive line, Hawk being back, Jefferson going to keep on getting better, and Addison replacing Adam Thielen, and just year 2 under Kevin O'Connell, I think Kirk is going to put up some ridiculous numbers next season, and I think he's going to have one of the best years of his career. But if you're a Kirk Cousins believer like I am for next season, type his jersey number, type number 8 down in the comment section. Show QB1 some love down there. I want the comment section flooded with number 8s because, hey, I'm just a fan of our quarterback, Kirk Cousins. So show him some love too. Type 8 down in the comment section. Number 2 on this, I'll keep it simple here, kind of a chalk kind of takeaway from camp. But number 2 is Justin Jefferson is the freaking GOAT. He looks, again, unguardable at Minnesota Vikings training camp. And I've been saying this all offseason. I do think he's the best weapon in the NFL. I have so much respect for guys like Travis Kelce, and we obviously know as Vikings fans how good Davante Adams is. But I think right now, heading into the next season, if there's one weapon combination of running back, wide receiver, and tight end, if there's one guy I want on my team, it's probably 18, and he rocks the purple and gold. I think he's the best weapon in the league. This is what Jefferson had to say about kind of just his progression throughout his NFL career. He says, it's the same as my first year, getting 14,000. They asked how I was going to do it, and it's just doing better than what I did before. I always trying to find new ways to better my game, always trying to find a new way to learn new moves and to be better at my craft. So there's always room for improvement. I'm not the most perfect guy in the field. And, hey, Quasi, let's pay this guy a little bit, huh? Let's give this guy this extension that he's more than well deserved or more than well earned over his NFL career. And I love that quote from Jefferson. Like, he has put up the most yards in NFL history during the first 3 years of his career. And what is this guy talking about at training camp? He's talking about getting better and improving his game. And I love that because it's kind of that I'm never satisfied type of mentality. And it's kind of the mentality also where it's me versus me. I love those people. You're not comparing yourself to what other people do. You're just trying to be the best version of yourself. And that seems what Jefferson's trying to accomplish here. And you hear it in the quotes. Like him saying, I'm always trying to improve my game, find different ways I can get better. And the dude put up 1,800 yards last season. I'm serious. I think he will have a chance to be the first wide receiver in NFL history to win the MVP award. Man, I'm just happy he's a Minnesota Viking. Quasi, let's get this done. Extend number 18 for give him a 10-year deal. I don't really care. All right, number 3 on my takeaways from camp list is the offensive line continuity. And you may be, raising your eyebrows at that a little bit. But I kind of thought about this. The Vikings have the same starting 5 offensive linemen as they did from last season. We know what Christian Darrisaw is on that left side of the line. We'll get into him more in a second because apparently he looks like an absolute dog. But then we got Ezra Cleveland and Bradbury and Ed Ingram holding down that interior of the offensive line. And I really think it's going to come down to those 3 if the Vikings can get the most out of their offense. Then obviously we know Brian O'Neill at that right tackle coming off that torn Achilles last season. It's just nice to know with this Vikings offensive line unit that you have those 2 anchors at the tackle position. Like, that is so important, especially for not the most mobile quarterback and a guy like Kirk. If you have those anchors of a tackles, it's a huge advantage for this Vikings offense. But this is what Vikings defensive tackle Harrison Phillips had to say on Christian Darrisaw and just kind of his mindset in the camp. He said, I think he's got a real mindset that this is a year where if anyone hadn't noticed him, I know the players who play against him certainly notice. But I think across the league, we will be talking about him as one of the most elite tackles for years to come. And I agree with what Harrison is saying. Like, I think Christian Darrisaw, and he's on a short list of guys like Andrew Thomas, Lane Johnson, Trent Williams, other good tackles around the league, and I think he would take that next step. But I think the overall success for the Vikings offensive line and frankly the entire offense comes down to those 3 men in the middle. It comes down to Cleveland, Bradbury, and Ingram. If they can take that next step, then you could be looking at the Vikings offense where you say, okay, we got the tackles, check. We got the interior offensive lineman, check. We got a great tight end in Hockenson, check. We got great weapons in Addison, Osborne, and obviously the best wide receiver in the league in Jefferson, check. We obviously, uncertainty a little bit or maybe unprovenness at the running back position, but then you already have a veteran quarterback who's done this for many years in the NFL in Kirk Cousins. Check. You'd be looking at a completely complete Vikings offense next season. It's going to come down to those guys in the middle, though. But number 4 on my list, I call them the Swiss Army safeties because this safety group, I think, is going to be the number one benefiting kind of position group from Brian Flores coming in to Minnesota. If we look at how the room shakes out right now, I do think it's going to be Lewisine at free safety during week 1. But don't be shocked if it's Josh Metellus because Josh Metellus, Cam Bynum, and Lewisine have been all rotating reps at that safety 2 spot or the free safety role during camp. And I do think Brian Flores is going to get the most out of these guys, just mainly because all 4 safeties the Vikings have are extremely versatile. That's why I call them the Swiss Army safeties. They can hop in the box safety, deep half safety, however you want to play them, they can do it all. And this is what actually Harry said on Brian Flores, just kind of talking about the different style of play that he has. He said Flores likes having his own style and then kind of turning it over to his players. It's been great learning from him, and we just kind of scratched the surface. It's more of an aggressive approach in general. With things mixed in, you can tell he likes to be multiple with things and not stuck in one way. Love that. So it's fun to learn new styles and new ways of doing things, and I'm sure we'll just keep building with that. And I'll say this, don't sleep on Harrison Smith. I know Harrison Smith had a down year last year, and maybe we could kind of chalk that up to Ed Donatello being one of the worst defensive coordinators we have seen in NFL history. I think Brian Flores, I think we're kind of giving all this attention to Lewisine, Cam Bynum, Josh Metellus, talking about these guys kind of taking that next step next season. What if it's Harrison Smith? What if Harry takes another step in his NFL career and kind of has a resurgence and he starts looking like prime Harrison Smith? All I'm saying, don't sleep on Harry. I think he could have an underrated year, and he's still one of the better players in the league. And he's also one of the most underrated safeties in the NFL. And if you guys want to show him some love, just hit that like button on today's video. Let's try to get the 200 likes. Show Harrison Smith, show number 22, the definition of a Minnesota Viking some love, and I think he's been one of the most underrated safeties in the league over the past probably 10 seasons at this point. So show him some love, hit that like button down below. Now, number 5, another takeaway I had from camp is just the overall cornerback position or cornerback competition that we have here because, we all thought with the cornerback room that there was some uncertainty around the cornerback 2 and cornerback 3 spot. And, I listed it out as it going to be, Andrew Booth and Caleb Evans. But we've seen every name on this list get reps with the first team during Vikings training camp so far. Tay Gallen, Kalen Barnes, Joejuan Williams, and Mekhi Blackman have all been rotational pieces with the ones during Vikings training camp. And one guy that I really want to highlight on this list is Mekhi Blackman. Mekhi Blackmon, the third-round rookie out of USC, Brian Flores has absolutely raved about this guy during practice. And if Booth, remains sidelined with whatever injury he's dealing with, it still hasn't been disclosed yet, or a Caleb Evans, keep your eyes out for a guy like Mekhi Blackmon. Maybe in year one, even though he is a third-round rookie, he could be the Vikings' second quarter getting that Mike Evans assignment. And I do think corners will determine this Minnesota Vikings season. I think they're going to be the determining factor in the Vikings' success. I do think the Vikings will still be a good team next season, but I think a lot of their success is going to come down to the guys in the secondary. It's going to come down to if Byron Murphy, can he be a true cornerback one? Can Andrew Booth Jr., can he ever, stay healthy and really see what we have in him? And if he ends up, living up to that second-round hype, could he end up being a solid cornerback too? And then you got you got flyers. You got big potential guys, and Joejuan Williams and a Caleb Evans. I think those guys are also two names that you need to keep your eyes on if they could be kind of, cracking the roster, cracking the rotation, and taking this Vikings defense to another level. I think the offense is going to be fine. I think the defense, a lot of it comes down to the cornerbacks. So make sure you just keep your eyes out for them during preseason, because I'm going to be kind of having my eyes glued to the TV, seeing how they're going to play. But thank you guys so much for watching today's show. More Minnesota Vikings training camp takeaways and all that. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Preseason games starting next Thursday night against the Seattle Seahawks. I can't believe that. It's going to be 9 p.m. We're actually going to be live on the channel breaking down the game. So if you guys haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Lock us in as your go-to Minnesota Vikings YouTube channel. Can't wait for real football to be here. It's going to be a heck of a lot of fun this season. So subscribe, lock us in. See you guys next time. Skol Vikes.